Chanukah Sameach, Happy Chanukah. The Rambam was able to codify the entire body of Jewish law, entire Torah Shebaal Peh, into a systematic and clear work, the Mishnah Torah. And when you think of all that the Rambam was able to achieve and accomplish, you'd think that he had a lot of free time, that he had a relatively easy life, but it's actually the furthest thing from the truth. The Rambam, at age 11 already, he and his family were forced to flee his hometown of Cordoba, Spain, because of persecution, and they ran to Fez, Morocco, and from Fez they went to Israel, and they eventually settled in Cairo, where he actually wrote the Mishnah Torah. And in the year 1177, tragedy really struck for the Rambam. His brother of David was the Rambam's business partner, and they were extremely close, and Rav David was out at sea on business, and the ship contained their entire merchandise, everything they owned, and there's a terrible storm, and unfortunately the Rambam's brother drowned, and tragically the Rambam lost his brother as well as everything he had owned. His entire business was gone. And it was actually at that time that the Rambam was forced to became a physician, and he entered the field of medicine, and he became the personal physician of the Sultan in Cairo, and he additionally was the physician for many individuals in Cairo, and he writes in a letter to Reb Shmuel ibn Tivan of Provence. He outlines his daily schedule, and he writes how in the morning he goes to the Sultan's the palace every day to take care of his any of his needs and make sure he's doing well. And from there he goes back home and he sees visitors for hours and hours, people seeking his medical advice, and he prescribes medicine for them and takes care of their needs. And it's really in these difficult circumstances and really extremely busy life that the Rambam is able to accomplish all that he did. And he writes in Hilchos Talmud Torah in the first parak in Halacha Chet, Kol ish mi Yisrael chai b'Talmud Torah, bein ani, bein ashir, bein shalem, begufo, bein bal yisurin. And he goes on to say, V'afilu bal isho ubanim chayav likbo lo zman leTalmud Torah bayom ubalayla shneamar v'hagisa bo yomam v'layla. That regardless of a person's circumstance, regardless of their social status, whether they're rich, poor, old, young, healthy, weak, everyone is chayav, everyone's obligated to set aside time every day, morning and night, for the study of Torah. And he continues in the third parak of Hilchos Talmud Torah, in the Halacha Gimel, Ein lecha mitzvah b'chol ha-mitzvahs kulan shikula keneged Talmud Torah. There's no mitzvah that's equivalent to the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. And really, the centrality of the mitzvah of Talmud Torah is really at the core of the celebration of Chanukah. Chanukah and Al Nisan, we say, the Yevanim or lashkicham Torasecha. They try to cause us to forget Torah and prevent us from studying Torah and keeping the mitzvahs. And the Rambam in Hilchos Chanukah, he writes, Bebayis Sheni, Kishabau Yavan Gazru Gezeros al Yisrael Ubitlu Datam Velo Yinichotam Lasok B'Torah Uvimitzvos. That the Yavanim tried to prevent us from being osek in Talmud Torah, and this is really a celebration of Chanukah that we were victorious and we're able to freely practice Torah mitzvos. And there's one halacha regarding Hilchos Chanukah that really illustrates and underscores not only the centrality of the mitzvah, but the transformative effect of the mitzvah. The Talmud Torah is really able to enter all areas of our life and transform things that are davar rishus, things that are the mundane parts of our life, into kedusha. In Hilchos Chanukah and the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Tafresh Ayin, he writes that there's no Isser Malacha on Chanukah. It's very interesting. Aside for the extended davening and, of course, the mitzvah of lighting the Chanukah candles at night, it's really a typical day. Many of us go from davening we go from shul to work, and it's no different than any other working day. And not only that, but the Shulchan Aruch continues that there's actually no mitzvah of having seudos. The Chanukah parties with family and friends, it's very nice, but it's not a mitzvah. But the Ramah adds an important point. He says that even though it's a davar rishus, if the Suda is filled with Zmiros, V'tishbachos, and it's a meal full of Divrei Torah, then it becomes not only a davar rishus, it becomes a Sudas mitzvah. And there, something that a month ago happened to me that really left an impression on me. I work in a dental clinic in school, and we often have a lot of, not a lot, but there's often from patient to patient we have some downtime, and before the next patient comes, and there was in those few minutes, people will check their news feeds on their phone, they'll check the sports scores. And this was actually a TBC parent who worked in the school. In the few minutes that he had between each patient, he would always, every second he had, he would grab and utilize for he'd pull out his pocket-sized Mishnah and learn. And it's the mitzvah of lighting the candles of Chanukah, of menorah. The light is symbolic of Talmud Torah. The Gemara in Taanis explains that Kiner mitzvah v'Torah or, that light in general is symbolic of Torah. In the same way that the light of the menorah is supposed to, illuminate the entire courtyard. It's supposed to extend from our homes into the public. The same way, Talmud Torah, the Torah that we learn, is supposed to really, illuminate our surroundings and transform everything around us. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe would say, Kitsas or docha harbe choshech, that a little light dispels a lot of darkness. And we should just remember that every pasuk of Chumash that we learn, every Mishnah, every Daf of Gemara adds Shekhinah into the world, adds light. And in Mirat Hashem, we should continue to add more light, and be zocha to the third Beis Hamikdash b'mhei Rabbi Yameinu. Chag Sameach.